Welcome to Career Insights. The Career Insight series features local industry professionals engaged in conversation with students and recent graduates about career planning and job opportunities in Polk County, Florida.
Good morning, everyone. We're so happy to have you with us today. I'm Sharon Kokanowski. I'm the Director of Education here at Polk State College. So if you ever need to reach out to me, please do. One thing we want to share with you is how you can get involved with education from birth to grade 6, because we'll actually be sharing early childhood information as well as our bachelor's early childhood and elementary education programs. So there's so much going on in education right now, and we need strong, positive, one-of-a-kind educators out in the field. So we're excited to be able to share information with you today. So we have several presenters today. From the early childhood side of things, we're going to have Mrs. Hazelwood and Mrs. Rubes working with that. And then from the bachelor early childhood and elementary programs, we'll have Mrs. Hurt and Mrs. Price working on those presentations. So we'll get started now, and the early childhood certification and AS degree information will be presented by Mrs. Hazelwood and Mrs. Rubes. So you guys take it away.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Chantel Rubes, and I'm here with Deborah Metcalf Hazelwood, and we get the honor of sharing with you this morning a little bit about the programs that we offer here at Polk State. My area here at Polk State, we do the state mandated training. So that's the DCF courses that anyone working in a childcare center needs to take. And this is a really good way to get into childcare. It's a great way for high school students to have a part-time job in the afternoons and during the summer, just to kind of get a feel for, hey, is this something that I really want to do? And then from there, you can explore more options. So we really are that entryway into, hey, do I want to work with young children? And then, yes, I want to stay, or I want to be a teacher, or I want to go into peds, or, you know, whatever other options you have. So we do, again, the state mandated training and the certification over here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Deborah Metcalf Hazelwood, and I'm the coordinator in the AS degree in early childhood education and management. There are a number of reasons why students come into our program, one of which is to gain the certificates. The certificate would be the staff credential and the director credential. The staff credential, which is the Florida Child Care Professional Credential or the National CDA, those help you with being a teacher in voluntary pre-K classrooms. That's required to be a lead teacher. You can also earn your director credential. We have a lot of people who come for that because they want to open their own childcare center. So there's a number of reasons why people enter. A lot of times they do stay and finish out the AS degree. Currently, the only requirement for an AS degree is in Head Start classrooms, but there are a number of people now who want to go on for the bachelor's degree. So they do come into our program so that they can earn that associate's degree. So that's the bulk of the reasons. I mean, there's definitely more than that, but those are the major ones. So Chantel and I want to kind of share with you a visual presentation of how college courses work for early childhood. You might have an image of college courses where you're sitting and listening to lecture the whole time. We really try not to do that. We try to have much more of an interactive approach where you're going to be touching things and making things and trying things out, because contrary to what some people think, you can't just walk into the classroom and it magically be a great day and children learn everything you want them to learn. So even when they're 2 and 3, that just doesn't work. So we would like to kind of show you an activity now And then we're going to have you participate because we feel like that's very important to have your interaction with us today. So what we have done is we have made sensory bags that we're going to show you, but we want to talk to you about 4 things to think about during this. The first one would be, are activities developmentally appropriate? Developmentally appropriate should be something we use as a gauge for everything. So that means, is it right for that individual child? So is it meeting the needs of all the children in the classroom, not just certain children? So you have to consider each individual child when you're deciding about activities. The other thing you have to do is it age appropriate? So is this activity going to work for a 1-year-old? Will it work for 4-year-olds? So you really have to think about age appropriateness. And then you also need to think about their social and cultural context. So is it something they're going to understand based on where they live and the society that they live in and what their community is like and all of those factors? So developmentally appropriate is very important. And then the next thing would be intentional teaching. So like I was saying earlier, you can't just walk into the classroom and it happen. Intentional teaching involves you having a plan, you knowing what activity you're going to do, why you're doing it, what your learning goals are, how you're going to assess it. All of those things become important. It's not just something you throw together. And I definitely see teachers that try to do that and it doesn't go well for them. So those are the first 2 points. I'm going to let Chantel share some with you now.
The third one is hands-on teaching. So young children learn with whole body experience. So what can we do? How can we involve the children here so that their whole bodies are involved, so that they're not sitting and listening to you lecturing? Because young children, like most of us, just don't learn that way. So we want to make sure that we're choosing activities that they can actually actively be engaged in. And then the fourth one is we have to assess the learning, right? So we are all familiar with assessments, but are those goals, those learning goals that we initially set out for, have those been met? And we'll be talking about how we can make sure that that is done.
These are our sensory bags. We did do one before we started. This one is nice and gushy and feels really, I don't know, whatever good, fun, early childhood words you can think of. It's squishy, it's all of that. And then
this one has gel inside of it and it's soft and cold. And we've put a color in there and it just feels good to kind of mush it around and feel it and rearrange it.
So what we want to do is we actually have the beginning of this. So this is just hair gel, to be honest with you, and this is just shaving cream. So one important thing we have to mention is make sure your ingredients that you're using are non-toxic. And some of the shaving creams are not, so that's something you have to be careful with. So our theme is going to be colors, and we're gonna talk about primary colors. So the first question we have for you is, do you know what the primary colors are? How many of them are there? The primary colors, it's not an easy answer. Since we're older, we'll get a little bit more complicated just for a moment here. So there are 3 primary colors: red, yellow, and blue, and that's for paint. So anytime you're using paint or you're developing a color, those would be the 3 colors that are considered primary. But for physics and light, the 3 primary colors are red, green, and blue. So the answer is really different depending upon what you're talking about. So with young children, we obviously are not going to go that into depth, but we do have 3 primary colors, and those are the ones that we can't mix 2 other colors together and get them. They just are what they are. So, but we, in doing this activity with young children, we will want to talk about how you can mix colors. So I'm going to let Chantel choose. Unfortunately, today, the only thing I have are yellow and blue as far as primary colors are concerned. So she is going to put those into her baggie. And I'm going to put green into this one only because I have green food coloring. It's not a primary color though.
I'm going to put 4 drops in.
So this activity is also good for fine motor because children are able to, they're able to visually see what's going on, but they're also using all of those small muscles in their hands to mix it together to get it to come out to the color like we had earlier. So we're going to keep squishing on these because it'll take us a little while, but we'll come back to it and show you what happened. In the meantime, though, we would like for your teachers to divide you into three groups. So within your classrooms, if you'll divide up into 3 groups, and I'm going to have your teacher assign each group a color, but don't tell them what it is yet. Each group is going to have a designated writer. They'll need to have pencil and paper or pen and paper, whichever. So the assignment for each group is to go out into the classroom and find things that are the color that you've been given. So you're going to have 3 minutes to do this. They need to be written on the paper so that they can be checked later. But it's just a little bit of fun competition here. So we're going to see which one of the groups can find the most things of the color that they've been given to look for. So this again is an extension of learning about colors and how we can help solidify that learning by giving them actual things to do. So this is your assignment.
All right, so teachers, you're going to give each group a different color, and their responsibility is that while we are keeping time, they have to make a list of as many items of that color. All right, on your marks, get set, go. Oh, blue seems to be the winner at all the schools.
Wow, Ridge is blue. Is one of them red? No, Ridge was red. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ridgeview was red, and then
Nice.
Ridge Community and Lake Wells Highlanders were blue.
Well, awesome. It seems like blue is the big winner of the day.
Yes.
So just a quick talking point about this. So hopefully, you know, it was fun. You got up, you moved around, you worked together, you practiced a whole lot of different skills doing that activity. So it's like learning is fun and should be fun, but there are also goals that we want to have for an activity to make sure that it happens. So do you think this activity was developmentally appropriate? And you can type your answer in the chat box if you would like. What would we need to consider in doing this activity? Would age appropriateness be important? Obviously, we would have to adapt this. They wouldn't be writing things down. They would be getting them just like you did. So that was excellent.
I think the materials too, making sure that the materials are appropriate based on the age of the children. That is another thing you're going to have to keep in mind. Was this an example of intentional teaching? Yes, it definitely was intentional because we asked you to do a particular something and you were able to go and do it. We had planned it. We had spoken about the things that we needed to do and to have. We were intentional in having all the items handy and ready. You didn't have to wait and watch us go collect the items. So it was intentional.
What could be specific learning outcomes for this activity? Well, first of all, we are learning about colors. Also with our sensory bags that we did earlier. And speaking of that part of the activity, we can mix colors. We can add colors and make them darker. So the more you add, the darker it gets. The less you put in, the lighter it is. We actually added glitter, and Chantel made a mess with hers. Good job. So
it opened. Oops, I didn't tape it. But I added glitter.
So we can definitely look at the fact that colors were a part of our theme and that we are definitely trying to reach that goal of assessing and understanding how well children are recognizing colors and know which colors go together to make new colors. So there's lots of learning goals that we could put in place, learning outcomes that we want to reach. And I did mention it, but Chantel can talk about assessment as well.
That's right. So now we have to go back and say, okay, well, were the children able to reach the goals that we had set? Are they talking about what they're feeling? Are they talking about the different colors? Even if they may or may not get them correct, are they using the right words? Are they saying purple or blue instead of a flower and a square? So are they using the right terminology for the colors? Even if they're not getting it correctly, we're still getting it out there. We're getting the information, and they're able to participate, and they're hearing the language. And so have they met those requirements? So,
and I would have to, the only thing I would add to that is that assessing young children is not sitting down and taking some sort of an inventory or looking at flashcards. You can do that by watching them play. When they're doing this activity, when they go find something that's a certain color, talking to them about that. Assessment should be very hands-on with young children, just like activities are.
yes, no pen and paper,
Right.
no dittos. All right, well, that's it for us for now. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Thank you so much, Chantel and Deborah. We appreciate your insight and expertise in that area.